Welcome to Small Screen Cinema with Tabitha and Dad. Now, I think after a few months, you probably realize which one of us, but I don't know. Some people are stupid. So this is for the stupid people, Tabitha, Dad. And Tabitha is giving herself away. Most people don't know this, but she's an astronaut hobbyist. She builds her own rockets and goes to space and has a NASA shirt just to kind of troll them. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
So.
I've already been to Mars. You guys are just way behind.
Uh,
I've been there, been back, it's whatever.
Did you, when you were a kid, did you sing that thing? Uh, the boys go to Jupiter to get more stupider. The girls go to Mars to get candy bars.
That's actually not the version I heard, but yeah,
What's the version
basically.
you heard?
Girls go to college to get more knowledge, boys go to Jupiter to get more stupider.
See, that doesn't make sense because you got a planet and then you have an earthly institution.
Or
Uh,
still going places.
see, your generation, uh, a lot of drugs, a lot of drugs. I grew up in the 70s where there was virtually no drugs.
Right.
Uh, well, we're going to look at Dawn, Portrait of a Teenage Runaway. And you can see this on YouTube where it looks like absolute garbage. Or I found it on Daily Motion, which was a little more clear, but there was Japanese subtext everywhere. So I could now just watch it on YouTube. So if you want a clear uh, production of this, you're probably not going to find it because this is a little obscure. I also found, I didn't look at it, but there was one um, on YouTube that only had an hour and 9 minutes, and this movie is like an hour and 38 minutes.
I saw that. I didn't click on it, but yeah, I saw that one when I was scrolling.
I wonder what they kept out of it. In the car chases, the battle scenes. I don't know. I mean, but we're gonna look.
I just hope it didn't cut the dinosaur parts, you know?
Yeah. Oh well, Dawn, Portrait of a Teenage Runaway is from the screenplay by Darlene Young. And Darlene was also responsible for writing Panic at Echo Park, Maryland, The Untold Story, Little Darlings, which was a big movie whenever I was in middle school. It had Christy McNichol and Tatum O'Neal, and they went to camp as kids. And the whole premise was one of them is going to be the first to lose their virginity. Yeah. And there's a young Matt Dillon in there too. So,
Nice.
yeah. Uh, Boy, we knew how to do movies back when I was a kid. Mom, can I go see Little Darlings? Yeah, just get out of the house. She also was responsible for the Babysitters Club. Very cool. She passed away earlier this year at the ripe old age of 86. The film is directed by John Cleeser, which you probably are familiar with
Mm-hmm.
because he directed 3 episodes of Starsky and Hutch. Very cool. Um, he also directed Reese, the
That's what I
Blue
was thinking of. Yeah.
the Blue Lagoon, one of our favorite movies, Flight of the Navigator,
Yes.
awesome, and Pee Wee's Big Top, the Pee Wee movie that nobody saw, um, and that was right before Pee Wee showed off his Pee Wee in a theater. So
Oh, leave the poor man alone.
he's dead. Poor guy. Um,
I
John,
know.
what's that?
I said I know.
Yeah.
So leave him alone.
John Cleeser, unlike Pee Wee Herman, is still alive at the age of 79. Very cool.
Good for him.
And our cast, we have Eve Plum as Dawn. She is known worldwide as Jan Brady, the middle child. Marcia, Marcia, Marcia. That one. Uh,
And my mother's name was Marcia, so she got that a lot in her life.
I used to say it to her all the time.
You did not, did you?
No, I never
Oh,
said it.
I could see you doing it just to make her mad.
I would not try to make her mad. Do you know where she got her start?
My mom?
Eve Plum.
I do not know.
She was on an episode of The Big Valley. Very cool.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
She was also in the 1978 TV miniseries Little Women, and she was
What did she
also in this
play?
one of the Little Women. I don't remember which one.
I love Little Women. It's important to me to know these things.
Okay.
But whatever, I'll look it up later.
And she was also in the movie Alexander, The Other Side of Dawn, which is part two of this movie. She is still with us at the age of 67. She's done some sporadic acting throughout her adulthood, but mostly she's been an artist, which is pretty cool. Alexander is played by Lee McCloskey, and that's her friend. He was in Rich Man, Poor Man, and he spent 8 years on Dallas as Mitch Cooper. And he also was the star of Alexander, The Other Side of Dawn, the sequel to Dawn, Portrait of a Teenage Runaway. And he is still with us at the age of 70. Very good. And we welcome back Lynn Carlin as Mrs. Weatherby, her mother. And she is known for Faces, her debut film, where she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. But she was also the mother in James at 15. Very cool. Saw her not too long ago. And she is still with us at the age of 67. And she was with us a few weeks ago, so I assume she's still with us today.
So
And
she's been got weirdly typecast as parents who don't care when their kids run away.
yeah.
Weird.
um, and Sven is played by Bo Hopkins, and probably the most famous actor that's in this movie. He was in The Wild Bunch, The Man Who Loved Cat Dancing. I mostly remember him from American Graffiti. And he was also in one of the most overlooked movies that I really love, The Newton Boys. He did pass away in 2022 at the age of 84. And he was very good friends with Ron Howard. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah. This movie aired September 17th in 1976 while we were celebrating our 200th anniversary as a nation. And it was on NBC. And it was up against Monday Night Football, where it got crushed by Monday Night Football on ABC, and Maude, All's Fair, and Executive Suite on CBS. So let's get into Dawn, Portrait of a Teenage Runaway. Uh, we start off, Dawn is leaving her house and she's on a bus going to Los Angeles, and they keep showing flashbacks as she is traveling. And flashback to Dawn talking to her younger brother, Mickey or Nicky. I could not catch what she was calling him. But she's talking about she has never been to a movie by herself. I've never been anywhere by myself, never even been to a movie by myself. And so this is going to be exciting. And apparently she went to a dance, a school dance, and her mother was at a bar talking on the phone to Mickey, the son, wanting to talk to Dawn. And that's when she finds out, oh no, Dawn isn't home watching the Suns. What's Dawn up to? So mom shows up drunk to the dance to pick up Dawn. Now this is all in a flashback. So mom shows up at a school dance, drunk as a skunk, picking up Dawn, making a scene. I just had so many flashbacks when I was a kid. My mom would be drunk all the time, picking me up from all kinds of dances while I was on the floor doing the frog, the bump, the hustle, and all those kind of stuff. No, my mom did not drink, so that was just a joke. Um, anyway, mom shows up drunk to pick up Dawn, and mom confronts Dawn in a very public way at the dance, and they kind of get to a argument at the dance. And Dawn is angry; she can't go anywhere because she always has to watch her brothers. And mom slaps Dawn and falls down in her drunken state. Initially, when I saw it, because it is such a terrible production,
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if mom slapped her or if she slapped mom. So I went over it a few times. Mom slapped her, but lost her balance because she was drunk. And that just goes to show you should not mix beating your kids with your drunkenness. You have to separate those. Otherwise, you might end
She
up with
also
more.
the mom tells Dawn, You're the only one of my kids that's gonna make it. That boy was like 8. Why have you
Oh
given
yeah,
up on him so quickly?
yeah. I remember when I told Max that you're the only one of my kids that's gonna make it.
You were
When I
right.
was drunk and when I picked him up at a dance. Yeah. So um so yeah, mom's putting all the pressure on Dawn that she's going to make it. And mom in another part of the flashback, she tells Dawn that she's going to quit her job at the lounge and we can go to California. Um, and then mom tells Dawn that she could have been a beauty contestant. Do all women reach a phase where they think I could have been a beauty contestant? Yeah, I don't know. I remember once,
Yes.
I reached a point in my life I could have been a contender. I remember saying that. I thought I heard that before. Um, but she says, now I'm a single mom, but she has drilled into Dawn's head that men suck. And I've drilled that into Tabitha, Evelyn, uh, Rebecca, and Violet said that men suck.
They do suck.
That's right. So,
Yeah.
um, so anyway, Dawn arrives in LA on the bus and she goes to a place. I couldn't tell exactly where she was at and ask a woman if she can help her out and find a place to stay. Uh, and then the woman just kind of leaves speaking Spanish. And being Dawn's from Indiana, by the way, she's probably never heard Spanish in her life. Um, so she's walking around downtown LA, Hollywood, just kind of walking around, and she's taking in the experience of LA. And a few men try to pick her up, but she cowers away. But she ain't gonna cower away for long, is she? No, no, no. Um, and she goes to a diner to get some lunch, and she asks the person there if she could have if they have any jobs. And while she's there, a panhandler approaches her and asks her for $1. She gives it to him and leaves. And then apparently the panhandler finds her and mugs her and takes some money from her. This this happened in another movie I saw called Bill. You ever seen Bill? Yeah.
No.
I felt sorry for Bill. I did not feel sorry for her. And I will
This,
talk about
well,
why I
you
don't
should, because this is exactly what happened to me when I moved to LA. It was so sad.
really.
Hmm.
Oh gosh. So um so as this is happening, a lady emerges and she produces a razor or a knife and she gets Dawn's money back. And she says, how much did you get? She says, $5. And then this lady tells Dawn, this place is going to eat you alive. And then a car pulls up and she gets into the car. There's a John in the car. And she says, my name is Frankie Lee. You need help? You just asked for me. Everybody knows who Frankie Lee is because Frankie Lee is a prostitute.
They're called
Yes.
sex workers.
Really?
Hmm.
When did that happen? Huh.
A few years ago.
Okay. Um, so she goes to another place to rent a room, and there's an old lady that's a landlord, and she tells her it's $50 for 2 weeks. And Dawn only has $10 on her, and so the lady slams the door in Dawn's face. And that night she sleeps on a sidewalk bench. Did that happen to you in LA?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. So this is kind of
It was,
autobiographical or
yeah,
biographical.
it was really weird.
So then Dawn goes to a library where she washes up in the restroom and she's carrying like a bag of her belongings, like just like a paper bag of her belongings. And the librarian tells her that she's going to have to leave her bag at the desk. And I guess she doesn't want to do that, so she leaves. So the next morning, she is up and she's getting a donut and she's coughing. And there's a lady at the donut shop that tells her that there's a free clinic to help her get rid of her cough. And then she asks, what's your name? She says, my name is Dawn. Do you have a job for me? She says, no, you can't get a job. You're obviously underage. And she finds out that Dawn's a runaway. And she calls the cops, but the cops are not too excited. And then the cops tell her to bring her in. And then the lady looks up and Donna's gone, and there's just a note saying thank you. So Dawn doesn't want to mess with the cops. And who does? I mean, this is where Rodney King got beat, LA. So, um,
It's a
and
little blonde girl. She's gonna be
yeah,
assaulted. It's she can instead.
it's like a scary movie when the killer's trying to get into her house and she types on the computer, white woman problem. You see like
Yeah.
10 cars coming. So Dawn goes to this clinic, and there's a pregnant teenager there that is leaving, complaining about the clinic. And Dawn meets a young man named Alexander. And she meets a young mother and her baby in the restroom. And this young mother says that as they're in there, her boyfriend is knocking on the door of the women's bathroom, trying to get the young mother to hurry. The baby's 5 months old and has already been to 17 states. Wowza, wowza, wowza. So they are on the run. So she tells Dawn that they are on their way to New Mexico to live in a commune. And I thought, oh wow, this is like 76. This is like a few years past commune time. So um and
New
she
Mexico is always behind by a few years.
oh, okay. All right, I got that. So the young mother asked Dawn, hey, you can come along with us, go to a commune and you can become a communist like us. Little joke there. But Dawn rejects. So she comes out of the restroom, and Alexander tells her that she won't get in for at least a week. So he gives his appointment to her, and then it got a little weird because he apparently pays for her to have an appointment. I thought this was a free clinic. Did that confuse you too?
Yeah, that didn't click for me actually. You're right.
Yeah. What's wrong with that? So they're both taking the appointment at the same time. Alexander gets a shot for anemia. Yeah. Um, and Dawn needs penicillin. The doctor thinks that she's got as they would say in the 70s, a venereal disease and STD. Um, and the doc wants to give her a blood test, and Alexander tells the doctor, "Look, she's got a cold. She needs penicillin. That's all she needs." And so the doctor kind of makes a joke. Well, I haven't had to give penicillin for 6 months. It's always VD shots and everything else. So they leave, and Dawn is a little angry at Alexander, her new friend, and she wants him to leave her alone, and he wants to take her for lunch. She says that she is fasting. That is code for I don't have any damn money to buy food. So um, he offers to bring her to his place for tea. She reluctantly goes to his place.
Yeah, this
And
is like a teen straight version of Midnight Cowboy that's happening here right now.
no, yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but you're exactly right. So she goes into his apartment, and he has a poster of Alexander the Great on his, or a painting of Alexander the Great on his wall that he's working on, like a mural.
And I
And
sure wish we could see it.
yeah, it would be nice to see it. That's why I originally put poster, and then oh yeah, that was a mural because you couldn't tell because the production,
Yeah,
the YouTube is so bad on it.
yeah.
So he tells her that he will cook, and she can go ahead and take a bath. And he makes beans, and they eat beans, and he tells her he works nights so she can stay there at the house while he's gone. And he says he won't try anything, and because you're Jan Brady, and you'll probably get Greg and Peter here to beat the shit out of me, stuff like that.
Like they could.
Yeah. So um, they're talking, and Dawn tells him that her mother fell in love a lot. I thought, yeah, my mom did too. No, 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 she didn't. She fell in love once, maybe. Um,
Maybe.
Dawn does admit to missing her mom. So Alexander offers again for her to stay there. and he doesn't have electricity because he doesn't have money to pay the electric bill. And so finally, Dawn relents, says that she will stay for one night. And the next scene, she is obviously staying more than a night because she wants a job, but he says she is underage. They obviously know each other a little bit better than I just went to sleep. Um, she said she wants to contribute to the household income. And I thought, man, I want a daughter like that, one that says I want to contribute to the household income. So, um, I mean, there's still time. I could have another baby. I don't know. um, he says that her companionship is enough. Oh my God. And sometimes I think, man, you're shining your halo way too much, dude. I mean, come on now.
Yeah,
So,
I wrote teenage boys like Alexander do not exist. And if they do, they are not runaway sex workers.
yeah. Um, so he works as an underage person because he tells her that his boss runs a liquor store and is always drunk. So he leaves for work, and she tails him to work while Cherry Bomb from the Runaways is playing in
Hell
the background.
yeah.
That was the coolest part of this movie. I
Yes,
thought,
it was.
I hope the Runaways got pretty good residuals off that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
hope, because we watched it, the Runaways got at least a quarter a piece for it. Really, really
I
voting for
really
that.
doubt that. We watched it on YouTube for free, so
Yeah. So um, she sees, because Alexander doesn't know that she's tailing him. She sees him talking to a John, and then he gets into a car. Yeah, anemia my ass. Okay. So, but anyway, she goes into a diner and she sees Frankie Lee, the first sex worker that she's uh, talked to, and Frankie Lee buys her a soda and fries. And Frankie Lee says, "You have to look like money to bring in money." And Frankie talks about that she makes good money. She is in Swan's stable. We'll meet Swan a little bit later. And she tells on, you can bring in $100 a night, which in 1976 was pretty good money. And Frankie tells her um, that Frankie tells her if Alexander hasn't beat her yet, he will, because all men do. They eventually, except for men like me, I've always been afraid. Don't hit
yeah.
me, don't. So, um, Frankie says that she was with a guy who got her pregnant, and Dawn says, "I didn't know you had a baby." And Frankie says, "I said I was pregnant, not that I had a baby, because you can't talk about abortion in 1976 on a."
Shh, can't say that word. That's sinful.
Sorry, it's not the first time I've said. Okay, it's, gosh, I must be over a dozen now. Uh, So she says that Swan found her and took care of everything. So I guess Swan paid for the abortion and kind of takes care of her. And Frankie says that uh, she can do sex work because that she can. Frankie says, I can do sex work because it gives me dignity and money. And then we cut back to the apartment, and
Hold on.
Alex,
It was this the scene where they said that Frankie Lee was 17?
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah. No, no,
in
no,
what
no, no.
world?
That's the next scene that in the diner about 10 minutes later.
Okay, sorry. My
Okay,
bad.
yeah, she's obviously not 17, and
No, that she's at least 10 years older than that. I
yeah,
don't know what they're playing at here.
yeah. So the next scene, they're back at the apartment. Alexander is painting, and she asks him if he has a protector, because Frankie Lee has Swan to protect her. And then she tells Alexander that personally she finds making love to be vulgar. Who doesn't? Uh, he says sex and love are not the same thing. She says, sure they are. Both are ripoffs. Oh, okay. So Dawn complains that she wants a job, and Alexander says, you don't need a job. I just like your company here. And
Don't you like living in this dark apartment eating beans every night? What do
yeah,
you mean you want a job?
Don't you enjoy all the fart fest we have after eating beans? How we can't light a candle, the whole place will blow up. Don't you like this? So she does ask Alexander if he is attracted to her, and he says that they're close, like he's her brother. And then the phone rings. They don't have electricity. They don't have running water, but the phone rings. I don't get that. So
Well,
anyway,
they don't have running water. She took a bath earlier.
I know, but they don't have running water because um, later on in the film, she had the water turned on.
You're right. Ew, where were they going to the bathroom?
I don't know, man. There's a few holes in this. So anyway, um, he gets a phone call, and all you can hear is him talking. He says he doesn't want to do that kind of stuff, and I'm thinking likely it's a filthy Sanchez. I thought that was funny. So they have 57 cents, so they decide to go out to eat, which I thought, how are you going to go out to eat with 57 cents? But they're
Right?
genius. I am going to try this sometime. They go into a grocery store, they fill their cart up with stuff, and then they eat and drink stuff in the store. I have seen people do this in stores. You know,
Yeah.
they like, oh, there's some grapes, I'll eat a few grapes, and so they're doing that stuff, and um, he tells Dawn to go outside, and he's waiting in line. And so the clerk says that'll be, I don't know, $50 or something like that. And he says, oh, I have to go get my wallet for my wife. So he leaves the groceries there and they scram. I thought, boy, that's a good thing. I could do that. I could go to Schnucks or Deerberg's or even Aldi's and just eat some things with a cart full of groceries and say, I forgot my debit card. My wife has it. I will be right back and I will never return. So So anyway, they go back to the apartment, and Alexander promises to take care of her while they are kind of cuddling. And the next morning,
You
she
know,
gets,
like brother and sister,
yeah, yeah. So, uh,
caressing her face and such.
I had a friend, this friend, and she told me even when up to her teenage years, she would sleep with her brother sometime, and I think, that's weird. It's too weird. But anyway,
We'll talk about that when we're done recording
yeah.
because I want to know who that is.
Um, the next morning when she gets up, Alexander is gone. So, not gone for good. He's just not at the apartment. So the next scene, they're at the diner, and Dawn finds Frankie Lee again. And that's when Frankie says that she's 17, and she's obviously like 29.
Yeah.
So Dawn asks if she could borrow $1, and that's when Swan walks in. And I thought it would have been more appropriate if he would have swam in, but Swan walked in. And Frankie introduces Dawn to Swan, and Frankie tells him she is going to work. And then Swan just kind of leaves without really saying a word. And
Not to stereotype, but I was so disappointed when Swan came in wearing like a turtleneck. I'm like, sir, aren't you a pimp? Where's your giant coat and your feathered hat?
yeah, you're stereotyping, okay?
Well, sorry, he
Most
looked
pimps,
lame.
most pimps, just like most presidents, wore turtlenecks. They still do. So
What
anyway,
a lame ass pimp.
so Frankie runs to the car to catch Swan, where he smacks her with his wing. Swans are mean. I don't know
He
if you
goes,
know
ah!
that. If you're
Oh
like
no,
at a
they are. They're mean.
Yeah, I did boating once whenever I was like in my late teens, and like the swan, I'm like, get away from me. They're huge. You get up close to them, they're about 8 foot tall. They're
I know,
huge.
they're scary. Like, sorry, I'll leave you alone.
So anyway, Dawn calls her mother at home and tells her that she has a great job, and she tells her mom that she will be back soon. And then Dawn hangs up and watches the man eat in a mini golf place, which I thought was weird. How many people are at a mini golf place just shoving food in their face? Just one, and she sees them.
Yeah, I love how chill the mom is. She's like, oh my God, where are you? Oh my God, come home. She's like, you good? All right, later.
If you run into my son James, send him home too. So
No, not even that. Just tell him I said, hey, you
yeah,
don't have to come home.
yeah, more food for the rest of us.
Apparently.
So Dawn, who's obviously hungry, the man notices her and walks up to her and he propositions her, which I think I was a kid in the 70s. I didn't live in LA. Was it normal for middle-aged men to walk up to 15-year-old girls and just say, hey, want to make some money at a mini golf course?
Well, you know what? After the last decade of living in this country with the Me Too and the Epstein files, I'm really not surprised at just how many pedophiles are walking around out there,
Yeah, yep.
acting like it's normal.
So they do go to a hotel and um, it's obvious she doesn't know what she's doing. It's like, how much? I don't know.
$20.
$20 for 20 minutes? Okay. So, and then she takes the money and puts it in her pocket. He says, no, you got to hide it in your shoe. I need to teach you how to be a prostitute. I'm a middle-aged guy with a family, and I need to teach you how to be a prostitute. This is weird. So he realizes that she is a novice, and he makes this joke. Hollywood is full of hookers, and I wind up with an amateur. Well, dude, you shouldn't pick up your women at mini golf courses, I guess.
Right?
Anyway, so he calls it off and he says, I have daughters your age. Oh, what? Did you just have them? Didn't you have daughters her age when you propositioned her? Oh my
Right. I'm
God.
like, okay, so you did realize she was underage. What are you
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about here?
So she tries him to give the money back, but he tells her to keep it and he implores her not to do this anymore. I'm thinking, what? Did you just find Jesus somewhere on the way from the golf course to the hotel? What happened here, dude?
Right? So he picked her up.
Yeah, I don't get pedophiles. I really don't. So, anyway,
Very
uh,
weird.
she goes home and Alexander's not there. Left a note saying he would be gone a few days. Then the phone rings and she picks it up and it's a John and Alexander is there. So the next scene, she finds Frankie and she asks Frankie, am I different than other girls? The difference between you and me is I have Swan to look after me. Frankie tells her she has no choice but to sell it. She tells Frankie that she has, or Dawn tells Frankie, but I have no experience. Um, and Frankie, this is Frankie knows men, so they don't care. Yeah, breathing, okay. Um, so Frankie says that they've got themselves a family. Swan takes care of them and the girls, and Dawn says okay, and once again we hear Cherry Bomb. Yeah, the Runaway.
Yeah.
So the next place we're at Swan's place, and to my disappointment, it is not a pond. Um, he introduces Dawn to the girls, and he has one of the girls take her to get her something to eat in the kitchen. And Dawn asks the girl if she misses her home in Ohio. And the girl tells Dawn that she is there for good reason. Frankie adores when Swan hits her. She says, my parents give me money and I give it to Swan. My parents are clueless to what I am doing. Um, it was just kind of weird dialogue. Like Frankie Lee, she loves to be beat by Swan because it makes her feel like she belongs. And my parents send me money to take care of me, but I give it to Swan.
Yeah, this chick has money, but she would rather be a sex worker, I guess.
I guess. I don't know. So Frankie comes in and says that tells Dawn that Swan wants to see her. And Swan tells her to relax and smile. He caresses her arms and she says, don't touch me. And he's checking her for track marks. He says, I don't employ girls on drugs, which is a big thing. And I looked up on his LinkedIn, and that's right. That's one of the things he says. I do not employ girls on drugs. And I thought, Swan, you're still
He's He's still
Still
in
sticking to
business,
your
is he?
principles. Yes. Oh, yeah. Um, he says he knows that she is a minor. He checks her out and he says, Frankie tells me you have an old man. And she said, yeah, but we don't sleep together. And Swan gives her his number and says, check in every 3 hours. If you get caught, keep your mouth shut and I will have you out in 3 hours. And he says, don't ever hold out on me. Hand in all your money. I just assume blow you away if you put a finger on me. You're ugly, you're trash. Don't ever argue with Swan. And I'm thinking, gosh, no wonder he employs these girls. What a sweet boss.
Well, when he called her ugly, which he did a couple times, I kept expecting him to say, "Not like your hot sister Marcia." I'm just so
Wish you don't
used
have
to
that damn lisp like your little sister.
it.
So he dumps out her purse in a power move, just as and he reads the note from Alex, and he says, "You're worth what you can bring in, and I'm going to turn you into a beautiful swan." I said, "Oh, I see what you did there, Mr. Swan." And he gets her a fake ID, and then takes her to a hotel, and she strikes up a conversation with a guy, and she tells the guy that she's at the hotel. My father's at a conference, and I have nothing to do today. He left me with money and said, enjoy myself. So he invites her to take a tour of the town in his rented car. Okay, so that's her first John. And then she calls Alexander hysterically saying, come here, I need some money. Now, Alexander doesn't have a car, so he steals one. Way to go, man. You're a guy of the world. And he finds her in a hotel room where she's been, I guess, beaten up and robbed. I couldn't tell because I couldn't tell any bruises because, once again, it's such a
The
bad
quality, yeah.
quality on YouTube. So she tells Alexander, you were gone forever. I didn't know when you were coming back. And she tells him that the money is for Swan. And she says, I'm only going to do this for a week or two. She needs Alexander to give her money so she can pay Swan. She can't go back to Swan empty handed. He tells her not to go back. He will take care of her. And she says that she's sick of living off of him. And she's talking about the experience. She said, I felt nothing. I just stared at the ceiling. And she says she gets 10% and Swan gets the rest. And that's her protection money. And she says that he's doing a fine job. This is the first you see that there's a rift between Dawn and Alexander. She's kind of getting a little hard boiled here because of the experience of being a sex worker. Um, so they leave the hotel and he tries to get her to stop, but she says she won't. And they have a little bit of a tiff, and they make up after the fight as they're leaving the hotel room. They see a cop down taking the license plate of the car that Alexander stole, so they can't go get the car. So they go to the beach, and while on the beach, Alexander is obviously sad, and she tells him to forget what she does when she's not with him. She says she thinks that she loves him. Hmm. He admits he does not work at a liquor store. Whoa, really? Um, and all she wants is his dreams, and they hug, and it is so romantic. Just one of those heart gripping tales. So
Yeah,
Don
but
goes,
you know what? He's got nothing on George Glass.
I'm gonna get to that.
Oh.
Don goes to a bookstore to get a book on Alexander the Great, and apparently it's an expensive book that she had put on hold. And while she's there, some old dude hits on her, and she tells him $200, take it or leave it. And then she tries to walk out with the book, and the bookstore owner saying, "Oh, don't do this," because once she walks out the door, it's stealing. So he has to call the police, and Dawn gets arrested. So she's in jail,
Yeah, worst
And
shoplifting attempt ever. That was just
oh yeah,
embarrassing, girl.
I've got a huge book worth $200. I'm walking out the
Right.
door.
I'm slowly leaving.
You can't catch me. So she's in the pokey, okay? And while she's there, there's some other women in there that appear to be sex workers or whatever, and they do a little verbal assault on her for being, white and blonde. Um, and I've got a white blonde daughter, and I verbally assaulted her all the time for it, you know. So, uh, so Swan gets her out, and Swan is not happy, and he smacks her, and he tells her she is working the boulevard tonight alone without Frankie, who was on a nice long vacation. And she asks the other women where Frankie is. And then Swan comes in and shows her in the paper that Frankie is dead. I assume that's what the paper said. It was so blurry I couldn't see, but apparently
Right.
Frankie is dead. And Dawn says to Swan, and you do not challenge a swan. She says, "Where were you? You're our protector." And he says, "Frankie is dead because I couldn't protect her because I was getting you out of jail. So you kind of killed her." He didn't say
So it's
that.
your fault, Dawn.
Yeah, yeah. Wait till Carol finds out about this. I learned all I know about sex work from Alice Our Maid. So um, from now on, he tells her that she's going to be working. Swan tells her she's going to be working double time and that she's on probation. So the next scene, she goes to the apartment to Alex. She has the bruise from Swan hitting her. She tells Alexander that she was in jail for trying to get him the book, the Alexander the Great book, and she has a probation officer, and his name is Donald because now she's been sent to jail. She has a probation officer, so she's on parole, and um, Alexander wants her to talk to the probation officer, and she says, "Nope, not going to talk to him." So Alexander tells her that she looks terrible, which proves that they're not boyfriend and girlfriend, and he sees her as a sister because I always tell my sisters, "You look terrible," even when they don't. Um, she tells him that Frankie died, and he implores her to quit before it is too late. And she says, "Don't leave me," and he says, "I won't." I don't know why he won't leave her. Gross. Um, Next scene, she's talking to Donald, the probation officer, and he says you have to phone in once a week and
Hold on,
visit
hold
once.
on. You did not mention this at the beginning. He is played by George Stanford Brown, who was the star of The Rookies and was married to oh my God, what's her name? Lacey from Cagney and Lacey.
Um,
You know who I'm talking about, right?
Sharon Gless,
No, the other one.
Tyne Daly.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
they were married for decades.
I sorry, I jumped over him. I'm sorry, Donald. Um, Very important role, and I jumped over him. I feel terrible.
Well,
Well, we're
you
gonna shut
should.
this down prematurely because I don't know what I'm doing, obviously. Um, so Donald tells her that she has to phone in once a week and has to come in and visit once a month. And she tells Donald that she works painting murals for Alexander and gets about $300 a month. And in a very famous song by Three Dog Night, "Liar." Anyway, so Swan picks up Dawn, and she has $140 for Swan for a night's work. Next scene, he didn't pick her up from the probation office. Next scene, and he tells her that she's doing all right. And then when she leaves, says, "But you'll get better, yeah." So she comes home to Alexander. She is snippy with him, and then she asks him to hold her. And he tells her the probation officer called, and she hasn't been seeing him. She says, "I don't want to see him. Stay out of my life." And they get into a tiff, and it's like, oh my gosh, this sex work has just screwed up her whole personality. So um, In the next scene, Alexander visits Donald, the probation officer, and says he doesn't have the time, or Donald tells him, I really don't have the time or resources to help her. She's a teenage runaway. And Alexander tells her that she is 15, she has a pimp, and he asks about a halfway house, and Donald says there's a waiting list for a halfway house for at least a year. And he kind of relents and tells Alexander to meet him tomorrow at 5:30 and make sure that Dawn is with him. And then he
Yeah, when
says,
when he's like, "Look, I really can't do anything." I'm like, "What's the purpose of you then?" You know? He's
yeah,
trying. Like he has to beg him to try and help her.
I don't know what the deal is. Um, but he does tell Alexander, if I straighten her out, she will likely go back home. And Alexander says, yeah, I know. So in the next scene, Alexander finds Dawn on the street and wants her to go home with him. He says he will pay her for her time. And so, not for sex, just, come home with me and I'll pay you what you would get from a John. And Swan is keeping an eye on her at this time. And she tells Alexander, you hate me, don't you? He says, no, it's much worse than that. I'm in love with you. And I thought, gosh, that is so romantic. You hate me, don't you? No, it's worse than that. I love you. I would rather hate you, but I love you.
We
But my
don't know
brain is
why
my
he
brain is
loves
telling me to
her.
hate you. So
We don't know why
uh,
he loves her. She's pretty insufferable at this point in the movie.
yeah, very much so. So they go to the apartment and she makes him say, I love you again. And then there's a knock on the door and it's Donald. And Donald, the parole officer, comes in and says, you have to check in. Uh, you you have to check in with your pimp. You also have to check in with me. He tells her the truth about the path that she is on. And Dawn is snippy with him, doesn't want to talk to him, gets snippy with Alexander for setting this up. And then she leaves to go to work. Golly, because she's a woman of the world.
Well,
15 year
she
old runaway.
also in during that scene, she says she's going out to walk the streets or something like that, right in front of Donald. And then he says something about her being a sex worker. I should have written the exact lines down. But she looks at Alexander and says, "You told, just told. What are you talking about?" I don't know if you got that part, but
I
yeah,
did
yeah.
get that part. I didn't think it was important enough to write down, honestly.
Well, I'm sorry. I thought it was funny.
So I don't like Tattletale, so I left it out. Okay. So anyway, Donald gives Alexander's number and says, don't let Dawn forget about the probation appointment. So in the next scene, Donald takes Dawn to a morgue and they see one of Swan's girls on the slab. And I think it's the girl that was from Ohio.
It was the rich girl who was just doing this for funsies. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And he says to her, this is the future you're looking at. Why did you run away? And uh, then the family of this girl comes in while they're still there and they identify the body. They start tearing up, and Dawn runs out. And the officer says that he talked to her mom, tells Dawn, I've talked to your mom. She's going to AA. And Dawn, you need to make an effort. So Dawn in the next scene calls her mom, tells her mom she got a job as a receptionist. Once again, liar. No, 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 no. Mom tells Dawn, I got a job as a receptionist. And Mickey tells Dawn that he got a part-time job too. So, if you need some money, I've got some money too.
To
And
which I say, so Dawn can't get a legitimate job because she's 15, but the 8-year-old can.
I don't know, maybe he's doing sex work. Just a gross thought, but I shouldn't have said that. That joke will not age well.
Oh,
Like 2 seconds after it came out of my mouth, it didn't age well. Okay. He has a job in a sweat factory building Tonka trucks.
that's
Okay.
better.
All right. Good. So, um, Dawn and her mom have a very brief phone conversation. She tells her mom everything's fine now. And then she leaves the phone booth with a John. Next scene, Alexander and Donald have lunch, and Donald gets Alexander a job as a stock boy. Really good. And Dawn picks him up from work and tries to shoplift at his job. What are you trying to do? Get him fired?
Yeah.
So, and that's what he says. What are you doing? I work here.
Right?
And so then she gets mad. She sniffs at Alexander and leaves. And I wrote in my note, she has morphed into a full on bitch at this point. Just morphed, you know.
I did write down he should just throw her out. I don't care if he loves her or whatever, he'll get over it. Throw her out, change the locks, whatever.
So in the next scene, Swan tells Dawn that she won't be working hotels anymore. She has to work the streets. And I guess it's like a demotion in sex work. You know, hey, you can do the hotels now. You're getting demoted to the streets.
Well, I think
So,
it's in theory more dangerous, is what I would assume, you know?
oh, I'm sure it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So on the street, Alexander tries to talk to Dawn, and he says he wants to see her, and they hug. But Swan is watching, and then John tries to pick her up, but she rejects him. And Swan finds Alex and beats the crap out of him. And Alexander asks Dawn to call the probation officer. And Donald wants to know what happened. And Alex says he fell down the stairs. No, he didn't. Swan beat him up. And I told you swans are mean. And Donald tells Alexander to give up on Dawn. She is a lost cause. And Dawn says she's going to leave. And Donald tells her to just keep running. So Dawn confronts Swan. Why did you beat up
Hey,
Alex?
Donald says, I'm fed up with you. And I'm like, dude, same here. I cannot watch this girl anymore. She's so awful. And
Yeah.
she's Jan Brady. She still has the whiny Jan Brady voice no matter what she's doing.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. So uh, Swan tells her to get her stuff and to move in at his house, and she says no. And he says, "You're going to move into Frankie's room tomorrow." He leaves with a veiled threat about Alexander. Um, so she goes back to the apartment. Alexander's is finishing up his painting of Alexander the Great, and she turns on the lights, and the lights come on. She said, "Hey, I got your electricity turned on." And then she says, "Hey, I got your hot water turned on." And so he gives her a locket, puts it around her neck, and it's very sweet. And she sends him to the bathroom, take a hot bath. You can take a hot bath now. While he's doing that, she starts packing, and he comes out uh, and realizes what she's doing. And she says, I can't stay. And he says, Dawn, don't leave. I love you. And she is cold to that. And then she turns off the light because she don't want him to see her. She doesn't know how to act with someone who likes her. So she needs the light off, like he's one of her Johns. And they do some underage boinking in slow motion, which I thought was weird. I do not want to see Jan Brady have slow motion sex. Now, it's hard to see what's going on because the lights are off and it's a terrible quality on YouTube, but I'm sure they weren't showing anything. But you can kind
no,
of
but
tell what's happening.
it made me think of this Saturday Night Live quote. It's a fake movie trailer, and one of the fake critics quotes was, "I saw her nude back, which reminded me of her front, which is where her boobs are." That's just what it made me think of, because like, ooh, a back, scandalous.
Or for that Family Guy where uh, they're doing the TV, have their own TV channel, and Peter says, "Oh, this is side boob channel. Look at that side boob. Look at that one. You like that side boob? Well, no, that's my side boob."
Yes, I
Oh,
remember the side boob hour.
everybody loves that. So anyway, Alexander is sleeping, and she takes off her locket and lays it next to him and says she has nothing else more to give him, besides a locket and nookie, I guess. And so she sneaks off and he finds her gone with just the locket. So he goes looking for Dawn. He goes to Swan's house. I mean, Alexander, for an underage teenage runaway who has the body of Alexander the not so great, he has enough kahunas to go to Swan's house. And he probably only did it because it was in the script. If it wasn't in the script, he probably wouldn't have done it. But anyway, um, he runs into Swan's house and he confronts Dawn, and he tells her that his love is free. And she says, "You need to leave or Swan's going to kill you." And then she says, "I used you. I'm Swan's girl, not yours." And Alexander tells her, "Tell me it meant nothing and I will leave." And she tells Alexander, "It meant nothing." So as Alexander is leaving, Dawn says, "No, I lied." And so they run out of the apartment with Swan chasing them with a switchblade.
Wait, to which I wrote, I like this when they'll make it years later in 2001 and call it Moulin Rouge.
Ah, very good. And then they could have someone else sing Cherry Bomb in like
Yeah,
an
there you
operatic
go.
voice. There you go. So um, they run out of the apartment. Uh, Dawn or Swan kind of catches them. Dawn runs away, and apparently Swan cuts up Alex a bit, and then Dawn has flagged it down a cop, and a cop pulls up, and so Swan flies away, and uh, I guess saves Alexander's life. So the next scene, we're at a bus station, and Dawn is told to call at least once a week um, by her probation officer. And Alex is in the lobby and says that they will keep in touch. He will make money and he will come to her in Indiana and they will get married. And I'm thinking that is a great plan for a 15-year-old couple. Yes, let's get
Yeah,
married.
when I don't even remember. Oh yeah, when she goes, "You won't forget me." I'm like, "I've seen James at 15. You will forget each other immediately."
Especially with that mom you guys share. It's in the genes. So then we have some of the cheesiest 70s music, and then there's a video collage of the memories of her and Alexander and everything. And she gets home.
I wrote this song sucks, play Cherry Bomb again.
So they get to the bus. She gets to the bus stop in Indiana. Mom is waiting for Dawn at the bus station. They hug. And she asks Dawn, "What's around your neck?" She says, "It's a gold heart from Alexander the Great." And I said, "Corny, corny." It's the last guy I had sex. The only guy I had sex with that didn't pay me. So, but he gave me a lozenge. So mom says, "You can always talk to me." And she says, "Mom, nothing terrible happened." And the movie is over.
So it ends with her lying to her mom. They are definitely going to be all right.
Yes. So, and then part two is Alexander the other side of Dawn. I don't know if we'll get to that, but anyway, Tabitha, do you think I saw the original airing of this? So I rebroadcasted this, or was this the first time I saw this?
Oh, I hope you saw the original broadcast of this.
I did not. I saw a rebroadcast like a couple years later because after the news on NBC, they used to show one of their movies. And I stayed up and I watched this because Jan Brady was in it. And so I saw the rebroadcast of this. Do you give it a classic or a trash it?
I'm gonna trash it.
You gotta trash it. This girl, I'm sorry, Eve Plum, you cannot act. You have no range. You're you have the same range when you get hit by Swan as you do when you look at a glass and say, "My boyfriend is George Glass." It's like there is no range in her. And I've seen her interviewed. She's a nice lady and everything else, but Cheezel Beezle, the acting is atrocious in this. When Swan character played by uh oh gosh, Bo Hopkins, played by Bo Hopkins, he steals every scene, and it's not because he's got a dynamic character. He's just the only one that can act. And once again, this lady, Lynn Carlin, is in a movie. And for her first movie, she was Oscar nominated for Best Supporting Actress. I've seen her in two other movies, TV movies, and she either mails it in or she just can't act. And this nomination happened during a hemp party or an opium party or something. I don't know.
Well, maybe when you go from being Oscar nominated to the mom in teenage TV movies, you probably do phone it in. That's probably not where you thought your career was going.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But the only two characters that I found fascinating was Swan and Frankie. Um, Donald, that could have been a fascinating character, but he obviously phoned it in too. I just was not convinced by the acting of anyone. And if you're going to make something this cheesy work, you have to have good acting, and it just doesn't.
No.
This was not as bad as The Last Dinosaur, but it's certainly in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
So that is Dawn Portrait of a Teenage Runaway. Tabitha, what are we going to watch next week?
Well, we're going to get into the Christmas spirit next week and watch a Christmas horror film called Home for the Holidays.
Who's in that?
Sally Field, Jessica Walter, uh, Joan Hackett, Julie Harris, a couple other women.
Wow, that's quite a cast.
Mhm.
Yeah. Julie Harris, man, in the 60s. I mean, I would watch movies with her in the 60s. Oh gosh, I thought, man, that's right up my alley, you know. So I wonder if she's still alive.
I would not imagine so, but I guess it's possible.
I'm gonna invite her over for Christmas.
Oh, okay. We'll see if she shows up.
So wasn't she in that Elvis movie, Tickle Me?
I have not seen that Elvis movie.
You haven't seen Tickle Me? It's
No,
the only good Elvis movie besides Love Me Tender.
I haven't seen that one either.
What what have you seen? Clam Bake?
Yes,
See, that one sucks. Kissing Cousins? Sucks.
yes, and Viva Las Vegas.
Sucks.
And one where he's a race car driver. I can't remember what that one was called.
I don't think I've seen that one. Tickle Me is funny. It's juvenile funny, but it's kind of a fun movie. Love Me Tender is really good. It was his first movie. He tried. He tried. So, all right. So next week, we will watch the Christmas horror film. And where can we watch that at?
YouTube.
Okay, YouTube or your house. So that'd be great. Anyway, yeah, that was my thing. I wrote at the beginning, her acting in this serious movie, supposedly serious movie, has the same conviction as my boyfriend's George Class. So when you brought that up, I said, we're gonna get back to George Class.
Well, and you know she did this movie instead of the Brady Bunch Variety Hour, is what I read.
She didn't make the right decision.
Decision in that
Yeah.
case.
Yeah, she was in a lot of like the Brady Brides and because they did all kinds of Brady specials, the Brady's go to Mars, the Brady's take heroin, stuff, all kinds of Brady specials. So,
I remember the Christmas one, and it was so dour that I wanted to turn it off because I was a kid. I'm like, this is the Brady Bunch. What is going on?
uh, I loved both Brady Bunch movies.
Oh,
The
the '90s ones.
Yeah,
Well, those are great. Those are hilarious.
Gary Cole and Shelley Long. Those are so awesome. The second one is so funny when John Hillerman find out that his son was Gilligan. I thought, oh my gosh, Gilligan's Island was a Sherwood Schwartz production too. Just and then she says, yes, and my husband, the professor, was on that boat. It was a 3-hour tour. It was,
Like, now wait a minute. It's always possible they washed up on the shore of some uncharted desert isle. No, we have to face facts. The minnow was lost.
when I saw that, I was dying laughing, and no one else was laughing. I just thought it was so funny. But Was it? Oh, it was in that one too, where they take Alice puts the mushrooms on the spaghetti sauce.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so don't watch Dawn Portrait of a Teenage Runaway. Watch the Brady Bunch movies from the 90s. They're awesome. So
Yes.
anyway, thank you all for joining us. And sorry we missed last week, but Thanksgiving we have to thanks, it's a busy time of the year, but we'll see you next week.